Legend of Total War here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about my thoughts on Troy. This is going to be an unlisted video, which will post on my subreddit, and the purpose of it is to basically answer questions from people that keep asking them during live streams, so that I don't have to answer them during live streams, because it can be a bit disruptive. And I think the last time somebody asked me about it, I actually got a bit emotional about it, and I think people could tell that I was getting riled up. That I shouldn't be doing that. I'm not a robot. I have emotions, and unfortunately, there's a lot of emotions going through with Troy, and I need to find a better way to respond to these things. And I think that this might be it. If it works well, we can do it for other topics as well, with frequently asked questions. Because leaving it as an unlisted video, because I know that this topic is not going to interest the bulk of my audience. It's just for a very small number of people. But if I leave it unlisted, I don't have to worry about the algorithm, because the algorithm is super important. Like, if I look back 2 years ago, I didn't even know how the algorithm worked. Now I know how the algorithm works. Channel update videos are extremely bad for the algorithm because it confuses it, muddles everything up. Can't have that. But the algorithm likes consistency, and this is a, inconsistent type video. Anyway, so people have been wondering, am I going to cover Troy? The answer is no, I'm not going to cover Troy. I did say I was going to give it a fair go, and I will. I will play Troy, and I will give it a fair go. But I am not going to make content on Troy. I'm not going to make a review. I'm not going to live stream it at all. At this stage here, which is subject to change, because I might change my mind if the game is particularly good, better than I expected, but honestly, it doesn't seem that way at the moment. Which, at this point in time, I haven't played it yet, so I just want to point that out. But at this point, I'm not going to be doing Saving Disaster Battles, so I'm just not going to be covering anything. I'm just basically going to pretend Troy doesn't exist and keep doing what I'm doing, because I love what I'm doing, and I don't want any problems, and I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, okay? Just because I'm Legend of Total War doesn't mean I have to cover every single Total War game, because, I just don't like some Total War games. And in fact, I actually dislike more Total War games than like some of them. There's more Total War games that I dislike than actually like. But some Total War games I absolutely love. For example, Rome 1, Medieval 2, and Warhammer 2. Those are the 3 Total War games that I fell in love with. And while Rome 1 and Medieval 2, I just played way too much of it, I'm still down to play plenty of Warhammer 2. I think I've still got a few thousand hours left of playtime before I start getting worn out. And the great thing is, Warhammer 3 is coming sometime soon. I don't know when. And I'm sure that's going to add a whole bunch more replayability. So I'm not in danger of running out of content with the Warhammer side of things. So let's talk about now why I've come to that decision as to why I'm not covering Troy. Surely it would be a good thing. I'm whitelisted now with CA. You're going to get early access. Why would you not cover it? Because I basically see Troy as a minefield. I'm going to talk about it from a business point of view first, and then from a personal point of view. And both of them have led me to the decision of saying no. It's not like one of them's a yes, one of them's a no. Both personally and on a business level, I'm saying no to this game. So, from a business point of view first. It's taken a lot of trial and error to get to the point where I am now. I think we're in a really good place on the channel. And I'm only covering Total War Warhammer. Surely somebody who covers more Total War games would get more views, right? No, that's not really how it works, because the Total War community is very fragmented. And some people will only watch the game that they want to watch, They don't care necessarily if it's my content. They want it to be Medieval 2 content. And I'm sure that over the past few months, I've lost a lot of old viewers. I'm getting a lot of messages from people, why don't you play a different game? When are you going to play Medieval 2 again? That kind of stuff. And I'm sure I've lost a lot of that old viewership. And you know what? The weird thing is that happens. And I feel bad that I would lose those viewers. But it's just sometimes you have to move on. But at the same time, I've got more viewers now than ever, so it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing to just hyper-focus down on one game, especially when the game is as popular as Total War Warhammer. That's just really fortunate for me that the game that I love the most is also the game that is the most popular. The more people play Total War Warhammer 2 than any other Total War game, pretty much combined currently. And I don't see that changing with Troy coming out. Maybe day 1 and day 2, maybe Troy might hit 60 to 70,000 concurrents, maybe. But that's only going to be, I think, very short-lived. Like, for the next... I'm talking about when August 13 comes out. For, like, the first week or so. That's assuming there isn't some sort of massive backlash. I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen. But I just don't want to get involved with that, because from my point of view, if I start covering Troy, like, I'm looking at other content creators and the videos they're making, and the views that they're getting on Troy aren't really that much higher than their regular content. I'm just like, well, if I took that into consideration, if I made a video, I can sort of predict how many views I was going to get, and I'm just like, not worth it. So that's kind of the look I'm having from it. Maybe it would get higher views than what I'm currently getting, but by such a small margin that it isn't worth the effort, especially considering all the controversies surrounding Troy. Like, if this was a crispy clean game that had no controversies, didn't have the Epic Game Store thing going on for it, yeah, I'd probably give it a shot. I'd probably play it and stream it, give it a bit of a go, and then just move back to Warhammer 2 when I was done with it. Sort of like what I did with Three Kingdoms. But that's not the case. You know, there's already big questions about the quality of the game, it being an Epic Game Store exclusive. All of these things are, like, the latest video that Creative Assembly posted for Troy got like a 50% like to dislike ratio. And that's not saying that any video that I make would also be the same, but that just gives me an idea of how polarized the community is on this. And it's just something, it's like, I just don't want to die on that hill, you know? It's not a fight that I want to fight, and I don't need to either. I'm not desperate to grow the channel by such a minuscule amount that I would put everything on the line to cover Troy, you know? It's just, from a business point of view, Creative Assembly have made covering Troy super unappealing for me, and I don't necessarily blame them for that, because it's not their job to make Total War games so that Total War content creators have got a living. That's not their job, so, you know, no anger there. But at the same time, if they don't make it appealing for the Total War content, well, just a content creator in general, don't be surprised when content creators boycott your game the way I'm doing it. But I'm not doing it on an anger level, I'm just doing it from a business level here. So, that's, you know, something. As to the Epic Game Store side of things, I want to very quickly state that I don't actually have a problem with them putting it as an Epic Game Store exclusive, and based on the explanation that I've heard, which I'm not going to regurgitate here because that's their problem, not mine, I understand it and it makes sense to me. But some people don't want to hear it because they just outright do not want to have anything to do with the Epic Game Store. And on the other hand, I totally understand where those points are coming from, because the Epic Game Store is an inferior platform. I totally get that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Creative Assembly is making a bad business decision. However, what's good for CA isn't necessarily what's good for me. That's a very, very important distinction. The success of CA does not translate to the success of the content creator. And sometimes it might be the opposite. Sometimes something that's bad for CA might actually be good for the content creator, depending on how they go about it, you know. Not necessarily in my case, because, you know, my success is very much tied with Total War Warhammer at the moment, which is fine, because it's silky smooth at the moment, apart from the bugs, which they're just hilarious anyway. So, I don't have a problem with the Epic Game Store, but it does make it very unappealing for me to cover it as a content creator. Because here's the thing. How many of you guys remembered when I covered Borderlands 3? A game that I genuinely enjoyed playing. But I went down, you know, it's definitely outside of what I normally do, you know, Total War almost exclusively. And then I was invited down by 2K to go and play Borderlands 3, which was an Epic Games exclusive. I believe it's on Steam now. And I played it and I enjoyed it, and I made a top 5 video. Now, I will admit, my video was shit. I really padded that out to try to get to 10 minutes, because I just didn't play it enough to come up with like 10 minutes worth of content. So people were right when they said that, yeah, you just padded this out to 10 minutes. Yeah, we had to, because the YouTube algorithm hates videos under 10 minutes. But basically, the long story short is I just shouldn't have covered it, because it just was not a hill worth dying on. That was literally the worst video I released in the past 12 months. Actually, that was more than a year ago now. Even though I actually enjoyed that game, I just shouldn't have covered it because of the controversies involved. It wasn't part of what my community wanted to see. And, you know, there was so many comments saying, like, just listing all the things. So you approve of all the things that 2K did. And I just wasn't getting involved in any of those controversies. I just wanted to go down there and play the game, which I did, and I enjoyed it. And I find myself in this situation now within the Total War sphere, and we're entering the same sort of thing, and I know it's going to be probably not quite as bad as it was with Borderlands 3, because that was a pretty toxic environment. But with Troy, I'm seeing a lot of similarities. And from a business point of view, again, just don't want to cover it. Now I'm going to talk about, on a personal level, why I don't want to cover Troy. Now, this will tie into a lot of the blacklisting side of things, and I want to clear up a few myths about the blacklisting. It's all in the past, and I would hope that everything is forgiven. It's taken a lot of energy to do so, but I have forgiven every slight against me that I felt was done. But it isn't forgotten. You know, I forgive it, and I want to move forward, but it isn't forgotten. I can't forget what happened. Because, look, I'll admit, I did some things wrong, for sure. I did a lot of things wrong, and I definitely deserve to be blacklisted. But there was more to it than just being blacklisted that really ruined my mental health at the time. I am currently, I hope, very mentally healthy, okay? I'm not having super anger issues. I'm not having trouble sleeping. Everything is just good. And I needed to go through about 6 months of therapy to get to that point. I couldn't believe how much therapy helped. Like, if I look back at the start of therapy and how venomous, like, there was this literal, like, figurative, venom going through my veins. I was so angry and bitter. And then by the end of it, I just let it go. It was just gone. And that could be very heavily attested to what happened with the blacklisting side of things, because I was treated, and I still stand by this, extremely unfairly at the time. It's all forgiven, but it hasn't been forgotten. So I'll also talk about, like, what were the steps that led up to the blacklisting, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, especially on the Reddit. You know, what was it that got me blacklisted? To set the record straight, I got blacklisted because of the review I made for Thrones of Britannia. That is what got me blacklisted, okay? Every other explanation, okay, that you might hear on The Sun, oh, he did it because of his edgy content, oh, they blacklisted him because he leaked emails. No. I got blacklisted because of the review. It was received very poorly. I got a phone call from them, and they basically said, you're restricted from now on, okay? And that was hard to take in. That was where it really started to, the walls really crumbled in around me. And what happened after that was, because I was part of a content creator Discord group, and when keys, like the full game was coming out for Thrones of Britannia for the content creators, I was the only content creator in that group, just straight up didn't get one. There were content creators with like 1,000 subs getting the key, and I was left out. I was given no explanation, you know, apart from, you know, basically that was where I led to believe, okay, they full on blacklisted me, alright. And at that point there, it's sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was just so broken and done by that point that I snapped, and I just leaked it all. And people think that that's what got me blacklisted. That made things 1,000 times worse. Don't get me wrong. I should not have done that. But like I said, my mental health at that point, I was broken at that point. And it was shortly after that I needed therapy, and everything started getting better. You guys will notice, those of you who have been watching this entire time will notice that late 2018 is where things really started to get a lot better. That's because I didn't want to talk about it at the time. It's because I was talking to someone, and they were helping me through this and helping me to deal with my anger issues and how to deal with them. And you know, getting over that. And then, you know, only after, like a year after it was all fixed, was I welcomed back to, you know, the fold with Total War content creator and stuff like that. But CA never acknowledged the harm that it did to me back then. I just sort of had to, I was forced in a way to just let it go. And I'm fine with that. Totally fine with it, still fine with it. But like I've said, I can't forget it. And the thing is, you might think, how is this relevant? Alright, Troy is a Saga game. Thrones of Britannia is a Saga game. I haven't had to deal with a Saga game for like over a year now. And so with it coming out again, and I'm seeing the same sort of processes happening again with angry community and this kind of stuff, it's just bringing back old memories and bringing back old feelings of resentment and things that I thought I had let go, but it turns out I don't think I've let it all go enough, which is another reason why I just should not cover Saga, Troy. Because I'm sure if I got the game and I gave it a bad review, I don't think CA would blacklist me again. because I was already skating on thin ice back then anyway. And I've got a much better relationship with the community manager now, who's a different community manager. I think if I was just honest with him, he'd totally understand, and it just wouldn't be a problem. But that doesn't change like the way I feel about it in the past, and I don't want the past influencing the way I am going forward. And if I've still got these resentments moving forward, I have to, at a personal level, not make content for Troy. I just got to step away from it. It's not a project that I can cover. Maybe the next Saga title, maybe then I'll be okay. Maybe enough time has passed or whatever, that I'll be okay to do it. But it turns out I'm just not there yet. Another thing to consider is like in terms of the blacklisting, whitelisting stuff, I don't really fully consider myself fully whitelisted. I'm more like greylisted. Because look, I don't know how CA feel about me. I'm sure there's still a lot of people at CA that, quite frankly, hate my guts. They kind of just, again, I don't know. They kind of just, I feel like they just have to deal with me now because obviously the channel exploded over the past 2 years. And I'm in a position where they can't just pretend I don't exist anymore. I'm sure that Josh is a super nice guy. Nobody has a bad thing to say about Josh. He's super cool. That's not a problem with him. But there's other elements at CA, that I'm just not aware of. Another thing to consider, and I mentioned it before, the Discord group, which all the content creators are a part of. I still haven't rejoined that, and I'm not going to rejoin that because this is another thing as well. When I was going through my meltdown, I did reach out to a number of content creators and told them, I'm having a hard time dealing with this. I didn't necessarily ask for help, but it was a bit of a cry for help. And what I got was more or less, "Oh, that sucks, dude," which is not what I needed. I needed somebody to have my back, and I really felt like nobody had my back. Which the thing is, as well, just thinking about it, if they did have my back and they outcried about it, maybe I wouldn't have sought therapy, and maybe things wouldn't have ended up good in the end. So hard to say. But at the end of the day, being in that Discord group was so super unhelpful for me, which is why even when invited back to it, I have chosen not to return. And I still stand by that. I'm not going to return because the same people are still in that Discord group, and I basically don't want to talk to them. That's where I'm at. I don't have any problem with them. Everything is forgiven, but I just don't want to associate with them anymore. Which is why, I've done barely any collaborations lately. Nothing against them. I just moved on. So that's basically where I'm at with Troy. I don't want to cover it from a business point of view. I don't want to cover it from a personal point of view. I will play it, and maybe I'll make another one of these kind of videos after I've given it a good amount of time playing it. But I don't see myself making a review. Because here's the thing, like, I got essentially lynch mobbed because I made a review. That doesn't exactly entice me to make another review. Here's the thing. If you go after somebody who makes an honest review and then they stop making reviews, you've only got yourself to blame. And I'm not blaming my community. I'm just saying that's what happened in general, and I don't want to go through that again. I'm not a review channel. I never have been. And I know some people were expecting me to do one, and I'm just telling you it's not going to happen. And if that is something that is like a deal breaker for you, all I'm saying is I'm sorry, but I have to do what I think is best for me, and that is what's best for me, to not cover Troy. Anyway, I hope that sheds a little bit of light on the situation, so people asking during live streams hopefully no longer need to disrupt it and cause me to get riled up. I'm glad that I got this out in the open. Again, there's no animosity towards anyone in the community. There's no drama at all. It's simply a case of I'm in my own little corner, and that's where I need to stay, I don't want to be in the in crowd, because in the in crowd, I don't thrive in that situation. I thrive in relative solitude. It's great that I have this contact with Josh, and that is like the most that I want at this point in time. Maybe in the future it'll change, but at this point in time, like, I got to keep things the way they are, because right now things are amazing. Got no complaints, no dramas, everyone's amazing, and I just don't want things to change, which is why, again, not covering Troy. Anyway, hope that answers a few things about everything to do with with the Saga games, and I will just continue playing Total War Warhammer up through and beyond Troy's release and into the future. And we'll see how things go. Because, you know, if Troy comes out and it's truly amazing, I might be like, yeah, you know what? It's a great game. I'll cover it. Why not? They outdid themselves. So, you know what? I wasn't going to, but, you know, it's good. I don't see that as happening, but I'm going to leave it a little bit open. So it's not like a definite no, but it's a probably no. Like, if you don't see any content from me, don't be like, oh, what happened? I thought you said you might do it. It's probably not going to happen. Anyway, that's the end of this one, guys. And I will see you next time.